Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ramon Preston Show. If you're coming on, please do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the share button, tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know. Prophet Ramon, the squad, we are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. This is the day that the Lord has made. We're already rejoicing and we're glad in it. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ramon Preston. I am your host of the Ramon Preston Show. And every Monday through Friday, we bring you information that we know is specifically designed to help you properly start, properly structure, and properly scale your businesses, your ministries, your income streams, and your wealth building dreams. As a business and financial consultant, coach, and trainer, it is my obligation, it is actually my honor to share information with you that I know can help you get to where it is that you want to be in your personal, professional, and financial life. So, welcome to the Ramon Preston Show. Please do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the share button, tag somebody. Just in case you haven't already, make sure that you follow, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, and be sure to give us feedback on what we're providing, how the information we're providing is helping you, because our goal is to give you as much value as we possibly can. Literally, this week has been an extraordinary week because we're celebrating 1 year since we have launched our initial business coaching program. 1 year ago this week, March of 2021, we decided to launch a 1-year business coaching program. And when we launched it, we initially had probably 10 to 15 people who responded within the first few days. Within the first 30 days of launching our 1-year business coaching program, we probably had every bit of 20 to 25 people who signed up, who paid, who committed to be a part of this 1-year business coaching program. And so we left the program open, registration open from March of 2021 to September, somewhere around September or October. So we left it open for about 6 months. And within that 6-month window of us having that 1-year business coaching program open, we probably had over 40 people to join that program. And so I'm just extremely grateful. I'm honored. I'm just excited to have had the opportunity to serve so many amazing people. Of course, when we moved into 2022, we decided to upgrade our business coaching program and add more features and more benefits to it based on the clientele that we were serving and based on the experience that we had. Even though I literally over-delivered to all of our coaching clients. I gave them way more than what they could have even paid for, and that's all I've been hearing this week. For the first group of our clients who joined a year ago and who are exiting that 1-year program, that's all I've been hearing. I've been hearing great responses, great feedback for what the program has done for them, and how most of them that I've had an opportunity to talk to have literally said that what you gave us was way more than what we paid for, and we appreciate that. So if you are one of the ones who were part of the first group, the first phase of us launching that program a year ago, I want to say again, thank you. I know I had an opportunity to talk to everyone last night in our weekly coaching call, but I want to say thank you again. And for those of you that are still in the program, for those of you that have just joined our mentorship program, I just want you to know I'm grateful, I'm honored, and I'm excited for what it is that we're going to do together. So today, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very, very important discussion I want to have, and it's really prophetic. For those of you that may not know this, I'm a prophet. I have been in ministry full-time, operating as a prophet in the church to the body of Christ for over 22 years full time. 22 years ago, that is in the year 2000, I was licensed and ordained in ministry. And even before then, I was already operating to some extent in a level of leadership and in a level of prophetic ministry in my local church, but we solidified it. We publicly affirmed it in the year of 2000. And for the last 22 years, even though I have been an entrepreneur, even though I have been a business owner, even though I have been a hustler and a grinder and a go-getter in the marketplace, I have always had my heart and my hands in what we do for ministry. And I'm saying that so that you can understand why this discussion today is so near and dear to my heart. Because as a prophet, your life is really an assignment. So that means if you read the Bible, if you listen to the stories of prophetic people, or if you just go back and do your research on the prophets of the Bible and prophetic people, you'll see that these are individuals who have unique assignments that transcend a lot of things that we are typically comfortable with and that we're typically accustomed to. In other words, prophets know that when God gives them an assignment to do certain things, there may be certain projects and certain tasks that they have to do, and it may not always make sense. It may not always be understood, but they know they've got to do it. So let me give you a few examples. When you read the Old Testament of the Bible, you've got people like Moses. Moses was a prophet, and God spoke to Moses and told Moses that he was going to help free his people from Egyptian bondage after over 400 and something years. If you read the Bible and you read stories about people like Samuel and people like Elijah and Elisha, these were all prophetic people. Jesus walked the earth as a prophet. So they had specific assignments. And a lot of times those assignments are not just spiritual assignments. A lot of times those assignments are not just social assignments. A lot of times those assignments are economical assignments. Now, I don't want to lose you in this. I really want to just give context to what we're talking about today. And so for me as a prophet to my people, as a leader for my people, I know that there's a level of trend setting, a level of pioneering that I have to implement and execute in order to pave the way and make that way clear for the people that I'm called to serve. And so today is a powerful opportunity for you to really hone in and focus in on where do you actually fit within the context of what's happening in the world today. We got a lot of stuff going on in the world today, but where do you fit within the context of what's going on in the world? Perhaps you watch me on this show daily because there's a level of business and financial desire that you have to do great things in your life. Maybe there are some entrepreneurial things that you want to pursue. Maybe it's just a dream and a desire to experience financial freedom. And because you may be a person of faith, and because you know I'm a man of faith, and because you're able to connect with me and gel with me, there is something unique about that connection and that collaboration and that camaraderie that we create when we're able to converse with one another. I may have never even met you, but you may feel that connection. Well, it is the Lord's doing, because I truly believe that a part of my prophetic assignment is not just based on what I do within a ministry, but it's also based on what I do in the marketplace. And so this is a part of that marketplace ministry. This is a part of my assignment to, for lack of explaining it a different way, a part of my assignment in the marketplace is to blow the trumpet, to sound the alarm, and to help heighten your awareness on how important it is for you to be properly positioned for what God is preparing us for. So with that being said, today I want to talk to you about something that a lot of people may not even know is actually happening, and that is The wealth transfer. Now, I'm going to give you some biblical understanding to this, and I'm going to give you some economic understanding to this. So that's what my discussion is going to be about today, the wealth transfer, because I already know, and I'm not offended by it. I don't misunderstand it. I don't take it personal, but I already know a lot of people who are introduced to me, when they realize that I am not just a business consultant, a business coach, a business and financial educator and trainer, but they find out that, oh, he's a man of God, he's a man of faith, he's a prophet, he's a preacher, he's an apostle, he's all of these things. I already know, and I don't get offended by it, that people misdiagnose and misunderstand what my primary assignment is, especially people of faith, because people of faith have a hard time understanding the economic responsibility and obligation we should assume. And the truth is, it ain't for everybody. There are many people who are great people. They love God, they love God's people, and they have no desire or no dream to do anything substantial in business or in finances. And it's not because they don't necessarily want to be financially free. It's not necessarily because they don't want to have financial peace. It just means that it's not their assignment. But it doesn't mean that because we have an assignment that something is wrong with us. So we want to talk about this wealth transfer. Now, let's look at it from a spiritual perspective very quickly. And trust me, what I'm sharing with you now, as the days and weeks and months and the next few years begin to unfold, you will see what I'm saying as a reality in the world, because it's happening right now. Many people are just not aware of what's happening, and those who are aware of what's happening, all of them may not be aware of how it's happening. And so I truly believe that God raises up prophetic people like me, particularly in the faith community, to help us see what's happening in the world and how we are supposed to be positioned to participate in what's happening, so that we can see the success, so that we can experience the success, so that we can help others enjoy that success, not just spiritually, not just socially, but also economically. So from a spiritual perspective, how does the wealth transfer play a role in our lives today from a spiritual perspective? Well, first of all, the Bible says in Deuteronomy 8, verse 18, that it is the Lord our God that gives you and I, as believers, the power to get wealth. That's Deuteronomy 8 and 18. As a matter of fact, if you read that entire scripture, it says, you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is God that gives you and I the power to get wealth, so that he may establish his covenant on the earth. So here's the critical point that I want you to extract from Deuteronomy 8 and 18. God gives you and I the power to get wealth. He does not give us the wealth. He gives you and I the power to get wealth. He does not give us the wealth. So if there's any getting that we got to get, the getting is not necessarily the wealth, but the getting is actually the power given by God to us, so that we can acquire or assume wealth. So it's not really until God gives you this thing called power that you're able to take that power, convert it into what it needs to be converted into within you and around you, so that you can in turn get the wealth. So God gives you power. Okay? Let me just show you that. God, he gives you power. And once that power is converted. Once it's converted, that power has to be converted because this is spiritual, right? He gives you this spiritual power. He gives you this revelation. He gives you these ideas. He gives you the capacity. He gives you the God-given capabilities. He gives you this intuition. He just packs you as a human with all of this stuff that makes up this power, and it's your responsibility to complement that power with certain things so that the power can become tools and capabilities for you to acquire or to assume wealth. But here's what happens from a spiritual perspective. We have a relationship with God. We believe He gives us the power to get wealth. And to some extent, we receive the power, but we never convert that power or complement that power with the things that are needed and necessary to actually acquire the wealth. And when we don't do that, we never see the wealth transfer. So that's one scripture, right? There's another scripture in the Bible that says the wealth of the wicked, the wealth of the world, the wealth of the systems of this world is laid up for the just. So we use these scriptures, especially as people of faith, to validate and to verify that there's actually wealth on the planet. We know that. And we use these scriptures to validate and verify that this wealth that we know exists, God wants to put it in our hands. And so we believe that God wants to give us the power to get wealth. We believe, that the wealth of the wicked or the wealth of the world and the systems of this world are laid up for the just. So we know there is wealth somewhere, right? So the wealth is laid up. It's sitting somewhere, right? That wealth is just sitting somewhere. We don't know where the wealth is. I mean, we can look around and tell. That wealth can be in Wall Street. That wealth can be in sovereign funds. That wealth can be in private equity groups. Most of the time, we don't even pay attention to where the wealth is or who controls the wealth. We just know that according to Scripture over here with God, He gives us the power to get this wealth. And we know that there is wealth that's laid up for the people of God. And here we are right here. We are the people of God. We are the people of faith. And we have this amazing relationship with God. There's a connection. And God just gives us all this revelation. He gives us all this energy. He gives us all this ingenuity. He gives us all of the wittiness and the wisdom and all these things that God just pours onto us as people of God. So we are aware that there is wealth. We are aware that God wants us to have that wealth. We are aware that God has intended for this wealth that's laid up over here to actually be given to us or distributed to us so that we can establish His covenant, fulfill His purpose. But guess what happens? Most of the time, people who are here that have the nature of God, the characteristics of God, the eternal relationship with God, a covenant with God, never see anything close to what wealth really is. And so what happens is because we never convert all of these God-given things into tools, into resources, into capabilities to move in the direction to assume this wealth, we stay here and we start making sense of why being here without this is okay. You know I'm telling the truth. So we start redefining wealth. Oh, it ain't about money. Oh, it ain't about a business. Oh, it ain't about having experiences in life. Oh, it ain't about the quality of your life. It's just about you being able to smile, you being able to wake up and be in your right mind. It's about you waiting until you get to heaven. Y'all know I'm telling the truth, because here, when we're unwilling and unable and undisciplined, because we don't do the work that's needed to convert all this God-given stuff into what's necessary to connect ourselves to wealth, we just stay here and we make sense of it. So that's the spiritual side. But then there is an economic side to all of this. In order to see this wealth transfer. So that's the spiritual side. Hopefully you understand that. For those of you that are following me so far, if you understand what I've said up to this point, please give me some feedback on what you think that means to you and how it should work for you. Do you think Deuteronomy 8:18 is applied to your life? Do you believe that God wants to give you the power to get wealth? Do you believe He's giving you the power to get wealth? Do you believe that there's something in your mind and in your heart and in your being that really drives you to want things on a certain level that are not normal? Like, do you really want to be rich? Do you feel like there's something inside of you that's supposed to be wealthy? Do you feel like you're responsible for your family to break the generational cycles? Do you really believe that you're supposed to be the millionaire of the family, the multimillionaire, the billionaire to put your family on? Do you sense an obligation and a duty inside of you? If so, perhaps Deuteronomy 8:18 is really your portion. Do you believe that the wealth of the wicked, the wealth of the world, the wealth of the systems of this world are actually laid up for the just? Because if you believe those things, then you can check the spiritual box to validate and to verify that all of this that Ramon is saying is actually true. And from a spiritual perspective, it makes a lot of sense to us. But you cannot expect for that part of this conversation, this discussion that we're having right now, you can't expect for that part to make sense to people who are not godly. Worldly people, secular-minded people, those who are not spiritual will not understand spiritual dynamics. So you can't take the first part of this conversation and expect for people who are ungodly, who are unspiritual, who are worldly and secular to believe what me and you are saying we believe. It's just not going to happen. So I have no expectations for the world to believe what I just said. I honestly don't even expect all Christians to believe it, because they have proven to me in my personal ministry and business experience, they've proven to me that they can't even believe it. So if you can't get all the Christians and people of faith to believe what I just said, you definitely ain't gonna get people in the world to believe it, all right? But then there's an economic side to this. There's an economic side to this. So let me give you some information so that you can understand, how this works, okay? So, I shared this last night on my coaching call with our mentees. It is estimated, and you can Google this. You can Google this, all right? Just Google what I'm saying right here. Experts have estimated by 2030, okay? By 2030, by 2030, it's 2022. So we're talking about within the next 8 years, this is what experts, we're talking about world economic experts, some of the smartest financial people in the world, people who are connected to just about every ecosystem on the planet. They estimate by 2030, within the next 8 years, that there will be at least $10 trillion transferred to this generation. Did you know that? Did you know that? And I want you to Google it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna Google it and see if I can pull up. Let's see, 10 trillion. I'm gonna just see wealth transfer. It might not be worded just that way. I don't know. I'm gonna see. Okay, one just came up saying this great wealth transfer is about to kick into higher gear. This was an article in 2020. As much as 68 trillion. They're saying on this one, this is CNBC. This was an article in October of 2019. It says what the coming 68 trillion great wealth transfer means for financial advisors. But they're saying 68 trillion will move between generations within 25 years. So that was 2019. So that's 2029, 39, 44. So they're talking about by 2044, it will be about 68 trillion. 68 trillion, right? But what people have done studies and research on is by 2030, just within the next 8 years, not 25 years, but within the next 8 years, it will be about 10 trillion that will transfer between generations. So that means those of us who are in this current generation, we're currently active. We're currently participating in commerce and business and ministry. We're currently building our families, creating legacies. We're the ones who are actively engaged. You and I, you might be 60 right now. You might be 40. You might be 52. You might be 37. But if you are actively participating in this current generation, that means within the next 8 years, you will be a part of the generation that will benefit from the $10 trillion that is about to be transferred. So we already checked the box spiritually that we know it's going to happen. We know God has already promised it. We know that a lot of this is laid up for the people of God to help finance the things of God and the things that we need to do to build our families and our communities and our churches and to impact the world. Okay? But if you know that this data is true and you know we're just 8 years away from seeing at least 10 of the 68 trillion that's going to go from one generation to this generation. So even within the next 25 years, as long as you don't die, you're still going to be actively a part of this generation. So you have an opportunity to be a recipient of a wealth transfer within the next 25 years. That was 2019 when this article came out. So we're in 2022. So really it's 22 years. So from 2022, 32, 42 to 2044, 2045. So the truth is within the next 22 years, there's going to be about 68 trillion. 10 of this, at least 10 within the next 8, that's going to be transferred. But you got to believe it first. You got to believe that, oh, wow, there's a major transfer, a major transition that's taken place. But here is where a lot of people drop the ball at, because we just stay right here. We stay here. Oh, God want to give me power to get wealth. The wealth of the wicked in the world and the systems of this world are laid up for the just. We just stop right there. And then what we do is we cross our legs, we cross our hands, or we may just put our hands out like that and say, I'm just going to sit back and pray and give God praise and read scriptures and go to church and just keep going to work and just keep watching the news and just keep browsing the internet and do nothing and think some of this is going to fall in my hands. There is no Brinks bag transfer of wealth that's going to take place. Meaning that a Brinks bag ain't going to just drop out the sky and land in your hands. That's not the kind of transfer that's going to happen. And so even if you are aware of the potential of this happening, how do you put yourself in position to be a part of this transaction? Because this is going to be a transaction that takes place. And here's what I can tell you. Now, again, you got to read between the lines, because some of what I be saying is prophetic, but a lot of what I be saying is also economic. So I'm not just like spurting out words and just saying stuff because it sounds good to me because it's prophetic or it's based on what God said to me and what I feel and sense in my spirit. No, I'm backing it up with real data. I'm backing it up with studies. I'm backing it up with information and intelligence that I know you have to bring together and put to practice in order to participate in what's happening. Because if you're not positioned to experience the results of this as a recipient, you're not going to see it. So how do you put yourself in position to participate in this wealth transfer? So if within the next 22 years, by 2045, it's a $68 trillion transfer. If that's what's about to happen, and just within the next 8 years, it'll be at least a 10 billion transfer. 10 trillion rather. Now I hope you see the numbers. I'm not talking about millions. I'm not talking about billions. I'm talking about trillions. Okay? Elon Musk and Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and Zuckerberg, a lot of them may be worth 68 billion, 100 billion, 200 billion. It is estimated and that Microsoft and Amazon and Apple are companies that are worth 1 trillion, the whole company, 1 trillion. We're talking about within the next 25 years, 68 trillion. So that means the total value of Microsoft today is about 1 to 2 trillion. That means within the next 25 years, there's going to be a transfer that is 68 times more than what those companies are worth. So I want you to see how massive of a transfer and how massive of a transition and a transaction this is going to be, because it's going to be between generations. Okay? Between generations. So if you are estimated to be living within the next 25 years, that means you're going to be a part of this. At least you're going to be living when this happens. Now, are you going to be a recipient of this? Are you going to experience the benefits of this? It's going to have a lot to do to determine, it's going to have a lot to do with how you position yourself today and how you position yourself in the marketplace. So now let's get to, how do I position myself for all of this? What exactly do you need to do? Well, you doing the spiritual part is very important, because at least you believe God wants you to be a part of it. At least you have a revelation of it. But at some point, you have to take that revelation, okay? You're going to have to take that revelation. You're going to have to complement that revelation with intelligence and information. And then you're going to have to figure out how do you put that information to practice. If you're going to position yourself for this great wealth transfer that we see mathematically is mind-blowing. How do you do it? If you just think people are going to be randomly walking up to you, just dropping in your hands $10 million checks. Now, it can happen. These miraculous things have happened before, but how are you going to live your life like that? You can't live your life like walking around hoping somebody, looking at everybody, seeing who the person is that's going to give you $1,000 or give you $1 million or give you their business. These things can happen. So we're not underestimating the power of miracles. But what we're saying is, generally speaking, outside of miraculous, magical, mystical moments manifesting, what am I supposed to do in terms of just my daily general due diligence to at least be in position for this in the event that type of miracle don't happen? In the event something magical and mystical doesn't take place? In the event nobody ever walks up to me and gives me $1 million check? In the event I never get a $1 million scratch off? In the event I never hit the Powerball? In the event nobody in my family gets an insurance policy for $10 million and I inherit it? In the event none of those things happen, right? What are you going to do in your due diligence to put yourself in the position? Well, you got to check the box. I got the revelation. I know God want me to have it. I know the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. I know God give me the power to get wealth. But now I got to complement that with intelligence. Guess what you got to do here? You got to get educated. You got to learn. You got to train. You got to familiarize yourself with the world that we're in. You're not living in 1989 anymore. You're not living in 2001. You're not lived like 20 years ago. The way the world was, it's not the way it is right now. The truth is, the way the world was 2 years ago today. 2 years ago today. Today is the 15th of March. 2 years ago today, March 15th of 2022, I believe it was a Monday, if I'm not mistaken, we were officially in quarantine. And the world as we knew it 2 years ago changed forever. So that was 2 years ago when we were quarantined. And guess what? We have never gone back to the way the world was prior to March 15th of 2020. And we have so many people, many of whom are entrepreneurs, many of whom are pastors, church leaders, ministers, prophets and apostles and bishops and everything else, many of whom are these types of people who are still stuck in a age or in a time that does not even come close to being able to connect with what's happening right here economically. And the truth is, some people ain't even connected spiritually. Some people ain't even connected socially. Some people are still stuck in the Stone Ages spiritually and socially, so they ain't even standing a chance to connect economically, and I don't want that to be your portion. So back to my point, how are you going to position yourself forward? Here's what I can tell you. Here's what I can tell you. Most of this transfer that's going to take place, I bet you this, it will not be that. I bet you that. Never has. Never has. I want you to think about what I just wrote down. The $10 trillion that's going to be transferred from generation to between generations within the next 8 years. The $68 trillion that's going to be transferred economically within the next 22 years. It will not be transferred person to person. I'm willing to bet you it ain't. Because some people think it is. Some people think they so right about this that they just gonna sit back and somebody just gonna hand them $1 billion. Again, I'm a man of faith. I'm a prophet. I believe God. I've seen God do miracles in my life. I know any crazy thing can happen. But generally speaking, our lives are not just built on seeing all these extraordinary, mystical, magical things happen every day. Our lives are built on principles and practices and beliefs and behaviors that help to develop the lives that we live. And when we need those inserts of mystical, magical, miraculous things to happen, God knows how to infuse our lives with them. But, you know, unless you're like Elijah living under the juniper tree every day, you ain't seeing a raven bring you food. When was the last time a raven brought you food? You get what I'm saying? I'm just giving you an example. The transfer of wealth is not going to be person to person. This is critical to what I'm trying to get you to see and what I've been preaching and teaching about. Because see, a lot of you who are people of faith, if you know me as a man of God, if you know me as a prophet, you got to stop listening to me as a business owner and an entrepreneur and just thinking, oh, he done fell off. He just over here in the money world, in the business world. No, I ain't. I'm in the real world. And I know prophetically what God is saying over here, and I know what he's wanting us to do in connecting these dots. And so I'm just bold enough and crazy enough and care less about what people think enough to come over here onto the economic side and say, y'all got it wrong over here. Y'all need to come on this side and figure this thing out, because you're going to miss a whole lot of things that's happening. I'm willing to do that. That's what I've done. And that's why I'm doing what I do every day. Because I'm just as anointed to preach this as I am if I'm standing behind the pulpit preaching about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I am. And I know that. And that's why I'm standing on it and doing it the way I'm doing it. But I also know there's a whole lot of people who gonna miss what I'm saying like they miss Noah for 120 years. Noah said, you know what? I'm over here right now. I'm being Noah. I'm the man of God. And it's just like me. Noah said, I'm going to come over here on the money side. Just give you an example. Noah said, I'm going to preach about what I'm going to build and what God told me to build. And he did it for 120 years. And the whole time people just thought Noah was just about whatever he was about. Man, Noah crazy. Noah done started building boats. All Noah want to do is make money. All Noah want to do is talk about gopher wood. All Noah want to do is talk about sails and water and blah, 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 until it rained. And then when it started raining, where Noah at? Noah and his family gone. You get what I'm saying? And we don't want your life and your family and your church and your community to be casualties to what is happening in the world today. So the wealth of the wicked being laid up for the just, God giving you the power to get wealth, studies and statistics and experts all show across the board that within the next 22 years, from now to 2045, there will be at least $68 trillion transferred between generations. That means those of us who are in this current generation for the next 22 years will be a part of a generation that will receive at least $68 trillion into their hands. And what I'm saying to you is that transaction, okay? Transfer, just write it down. Transaction. That transaction will not be person to person. It will not be person to person. So how's it going to happen, Prophet Ramon? Since you the prophet, since you the millionaire mogul, since you the guru, or as my sis affectionately called me this past Sunday, since you the apostle money bag, how is it going to happen if it ain't going to happen person to person? Here's how it's going to happen. I'm going to give you a sophisticated word. I'm going to give you a sophisticated word to explain it. Come on, Google. I'm going to give you a sophisticated word. Here's how it's going to happen. It's going to happen system to system. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. I know this is one of the reasons why I'm anointed to really build systems and processes and practices and really help people with starting, structuring, and scaling their business. I know that's one of the reasons why God has anointed me to do that, because he knows this transfer, system to system, the transfer of wealth, this wealth transfer that we're talking about. Let me just reword it so it can all make sense to you, because I know I get excited and I just start going in. So the wealth, transfer will take place or happen system to system. Can you make sense of that? System to system. Like, ain't nobody just going to give you $1 billion as a person. In the business world, this would be B2B. If you don't know what B2B means, look it up. This would be B2B, B2B. Or a lot of times they'll put two. B2B, business to business. This is how it's going to happen. B2B, B2B. It's already happening, y'all. It's already happening. B2B. And I've been trying to preach this like Noah to everybody that comes into my ecosystem. I've been trying to explain to the people who I've been around, who've been around me for the last couple of years, because I've been on this journey for the last few years building infrastructures, building systems, building processes so that me and my organizational enterprise could be in a position to receive our portion of the transfer of wealth. It took me a while to understand it too. It took me a while to get the revelation and to get the intelligence to put to practice. But once I got it, I made sure that I started repurposing it and sharing it with my community. And that's what I'm doing with you. The wealth transfer will take place system to system. Another way of explaining system to system, let me put it this way. It will happen entity to entity. So if you're going to participate in this thing that we're calling the greatest wealth transfer any generation has ever seen, what do you have to have? What exactly do you have to have? Well, you have to have systems, or you have to have entities. So that means the way you position yourself for the wealth transfer is to properly start, properly structure your businesses, your ministries, your income streams, your wealth building dreams, so that you can properly scale them. Starting it is essential. Structuring it is essential. So that at some point you can scale it, but you will never scale what you never structure. You will never structure what you never start. And this wealth transfer is going to require entities, systems, processes that are working and operating efficiently. Just in case you didn't notice, 2 years ago when the quarantine took place, most of the systems and the entities that existed that were not relevant to a 2020 world, they were disrupted immediately, and over 30% of businesses closed and have never opened back up again. They're gone. They're gone. The systems and the entities, or the entities that had enough systems and processes in place to sustain themselves, they were able to reset, build on what they had in their infrastructure, pivot, and fight through whatever took place within the last 2 years. And many of them came out of it, and many business entities and organizations that had systems and processes like mine actually broke through and became $1 million, multi-million dollar, $1 billion, and even $1 trillion organizations. Like almost every company today that is considered to be a $1 trillion company, that threshold was broken within the last 2 years. It's not coincidental. It's not a surprise. But a lot of times we are not always aware of these things that are happening. We're not exposed to the information and to the right intelligence, and we don't put ourselves in play or in position to get these things. And then when we get exposed to them, we just dismiss it. Oh, they just talking. Oh, they just trying to sell something. You can't think like that unless you want to be stuck. But if you really know this is not where you want to be. You watching me today and you like, man, I really believe what he's saying is a part of my life. This is my legacy. This is my purpose, to be put in a position so I can be a part of what these $68 trillion are about to do. They're about to be transferred from one generation to another, and it's not going to be person to person, people to people. It's going to be system to system. It's going to be entity to entity. It's going to be business to business. And if you are not positioned with the right infrastructure, with the right systems and the right processes, so that your entity, your systems and processes can work efficiently, guess what's going to happen? That transfer is going to pass you. And it's going to hit those who are already seeing it. So I urge you today to really, really, really take into consideration what needs to be done in order for you to be put in position. I know what needs to be done. Here's what needs to be done. You have to learn the fundamentals of starting, because this is what I do. This is my expertise. As a business and financial consultant, coach, and educator and trainer, this is what I do. My company is built to help people properly start, properly structure, and properly scale. And I've been telling you this every time I give you an opportunity to be a part of one of our programs. Every time I talk to you about something I'm offering you, you got to get past the, oh, he's just pitching to me. He's just another internet guru. Well, if that's how you feel, I'm not the one for you. But I'm talking to those of you who know beyond a sales pitch, beyond just some presentation or some hook at the end of the show. This man is actually being used by God to help bring me in. And guess what? There's a cost of entry to be brought in, because he's actually running a business. So I respect the fact that he is at least willing to put his community in a position to learn the things that they need to learn so that they can properly start, they can properly structure, and they can properly scale. And as I've said many times before, the starting part is the easiest. The starting part is easy because this is all about you starting holding companies, learning how to understand your divisions and subsidiaries, filing and forming your paperwork. It's about operating agreements and EINs. It's about getting some credit and establish some credibility and a foundation for your business. All of that is the start. Okay, that box can be checked easy. I'm telling you where the hard work is. The hard work is here, structuring your business. This is the hard work, because this is where you have to give yourself time to be educated, time to train, time to develop the understanding and the mental capacity to run not just a business, but to run business systems. You have to get this stuff. This is where all the meat is right here. You will never get to scale. You will never get to scale. I have built a 7-figure organizational enterprise, and I've yet to understand all the elements and the components and the nuances and the microscopic granular details and itty bitty processes that could help me go from where I am at 7 figures to 10 figures. That's something serious, because you're dealing with such sophisticated levels of systems, processes, managing people, operations, staffing, technology, platforms. Is so much, but at least I know what needs to be done to start and to structure a business, to make it $1 million business, to make it a 7-figure business. I know that. And I'm learning because I'm working towards getting to 8. And once I get to 8, I'll get to 9. And once I get to 9, I'll get to 10. But if you down here at 4, at 5, and you can't even break through 6, and 7 is nowhere in sight because there's a ceiling. There may be a ceiling at 5. There may be a ceiling at 6 where you keep hitting the ceiling and you keep going back down. It is not because you haven't started the right business. It's because you do not understand how to structure it. You do not know anything about systems, or you don't know enough. And this is why I have put the programs that I have together to help you in this process. So just in case you don't know, I have a millionaire. Let me see if I can write it right. I have a millionaire blueprint. Okay? This is an online, on-demand business and financial training program. Okay? This is the Millionaire Blueprint. If my business ecosystem was like a house, this would be like the front door. This would be like the front door. So if you wanted to come into the house, the ecosystem of Ramon Preston Enterprises, if you wanted to come into my ecosystem, the house of my ecosystem, right? This is my house. This would be the front door, the Millionaire Blueprint. And this is a program online that you have access to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch these training videos and educate yourself and learn to develop the muscle to really be trained anytime you want to from any device, as long as you have internet access. You can watch these videos and programs and train and study from your phone. You could turn your car into a classroom. You could turn your lunch breaks into a classroom. But this is where it all begins for the people we bring into our ecosystem. It starts with this program. This program will teach you the fundamentals of financial literacy. It will teach you the fundamentals of entrepreneurship, business ownership. It will teach you how to develop systems and processes, financial systems, sales systems, marketing systems, corporate operational systems. This is where the studying and the education and the learning and the intelligence and the information starts to change who you are as a person, because your confidence and your competence, it goes up the more information you start learning. You learn about real estate investing. You learn about holding companies. You learn about asset management. You learn about all these things that you never get to the scale if you never get this stuff. You can't outsource this. It's just impossible to do. And I've been preaching like Noah was for 120 years. It hadn't been 120 years, but it feels like it's been long enough. I've been preaching to tell people the difference between where you are financially, professionally, personally, in your family legacy. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is the information you get. If you're not getting the information, your life has a ceiling and you never move forward. So this program here, this is a $5,000 program. This is how serious I am to help people. It's a $5,000 program. We're offering it for $1,500 as a one-time payment. And if you can't pay $1,500, we have payment plan options. So whatever payment plan option works for you, all you have to do is reach out to us and we'll work out a payment plan just to get you in the door. We just want to get you in the door because we want you in the ecosystem of learning. We want you to in the ecosystem of education. We want you to get in the ecosystem, get your mind out of the world you're in that ain't moving you. You have to get in another room. You have to get in the house. So if you want to come use the kitchen, or if you want to go into the basement and enjoy different aspects of an ecosystem of business and financial success, you got to get in the door. This at least gets you in the door. So you don't have $1,500 today. Well, guess what? We'll work out a payment plan option that is best for you if you need a payment plan. All you have to do is text the word millionaire to 404 This is all you have to do. 404-478-7213. So here is how it happens. You text Millionaire to this number, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to reach back out to you. We'll take a few minutes to ask you a few questions to see what exactly are you looking to accomplish. Maybe sales, maybe marketing. It may be financial tax strategies you need. It may be education for financial literacy or business ownership or real estate investing. You just want to get started. You may want to start a business, or you got a business but you don't know if it's structured right, and you've heard me talk about the holding company or whatever it is. We'll walk you through an initial assessment. We'll sign you up. We'll onboard you so that you can come into the house, the ecosystem of business and financial success, because I have it for myself. I know it works. Everything that I teach in this Millionaire Blueprint, it is my Millionaire Blueprint. It ain't like I copied and pasted somebody else's information and I'm telling you something that I don't even know works. Every piece of information that's in this program, hundreds of videos, documents, forms, probably thousands of hours of training and content, I created it all. I'm narrating it all. I'm instructing it all. I'm talking to you every day in front of the camera. I'm the one that's doing the paperwork and the forms and the documents and using the language and the terminology and the principles and the points, because I had to live it first. And because I lived it and it worked for me, I knew I needed to repurpose it and package it in a way that it can work for the people who were just like me, wanting to scale to where they know their success is. And so once you come into the door, we have other programs to help you continue to succeed. So as I said, I'm going from 7 figures to 8. I'm working on getting to $10 million in my organization. And we're going to go from 8 to 9, and we're going to go from 9 to 10. And guess what? Whatever it is that I got to grind through and learn and figure out, my team will tell you this. My wife, everybody that's around me every day will tell you this. The dude just spends almost all his free time learning and studying and training, because that's what I love to do. My happy place is me just being in books and brain dumping and just go to la la land. They have to pull me back sometimes because that's what I love to do. But I also know it's a part of my assignment, it's a part of my passion, it's a part of my God-given purpose. And so if at any point what you're learning in this online virtual program from me is not enough, we have a mentorship program. Now, why did we create a millionaire mentorship program? Because we've had a lot of people who just could not build the muscle to get virtual training. It was hard for them to hold themselves accountable. It was hard for them to really stay focused. It was hard for them to do what they were supposed to do. And so they knew they needed mentorship. They knew, after speaking with me and my team for maybe 5 or 10 or 20 minutes on the phone during an assessment, they knew that I need more one-on-one coaching. I need consulting. I need you to kind of walk me through certain steps of what I'm putting together for my personal life, my business life, and my financial life. And so we made a mentorship program available. We have 3 tiers. So if at any point you need to move up, we create programs to work with you and to make sure you see your growth potential to get to where you're going. We have a gold membership, we have a platinum membership, and we have a diamond membership. And so depending on how much one-on-one coaching and consulting you need from me and my team, that will determine what tier of this mentorship program you become a part of. Our gold membership provides at least 2 30-minute coaching sessions, along with weekly coaching calls, along with quarterly workshops, along with quarterly masterminds, along with headquarter days where you could come into the headquarter and schedule a time to just shadow us and walk around and learn a lot of things about running a $1 million company. Our platinum comes with 4 30-minute coaching sessions. Our diamond comes with 8. So we keep you on the online program, but we add to it in the mentorship program weekly coaching calls, a certain number of one-on-one coaching sessions, quarterly workshops, so we can help you with the nuts and bolts of your sales systems, your marketing systems, your financial systems, your corporate operational systems, masterminds. This program mentors you for 1 year to make sure you get to where you want to go. If at any point you realize that you are a coach or a consultant, or you want to move into the professional space, we have a certification program for coaches and consultants, meaning that this certification program, we train you how to coach people and consult people like we coach and consult people. I literally show you my systems, my processes, and train you on them so that you can be as much of a proficient business and financial coach and consultant as I am. And so we keep you on the Millionaire Blueprint. We keep you participating in our mentorship program so that we can train you whenever you want to become certified. Maybe at some point you want to become a licensee, so that instead of you trying to reinvent the wheel and create your own curriculum and your own programs as a licensee, guess what happens? You have authorization to either sell our digital products and make money off of them like you own them, because this is somewhat of a partnership and a franchise licensee where you have access to all of our curriculum, our materials. You can repurpose those materials to create your own branding of products and services, or you can just outsource some of the training to us. But as a licensee, you're going to be trained to be certified. You're going to still be in our mentorship program. You're going to have access not just to use it, but to sell our digital products. And we just added a new program to our licensee program called the Business Incubator. This is a new program that we just added to our licensee program, and the Business Incubator is actually my team and I literally consulting you through a process to make sure that you are integrating the right systems into your business. So we're providing in the Business Incubator not only the tools to show you what systems you need to run your business, what processes you need, but we're just opening up our whole company to you. We're literally showing you our company manual, our policies, our procedures, our processes. How do we create key KPIs or key performance indicators? How do we measure the impact of our business? How do we properly align every team member in their roles and responsibilities? We're literally showing you in this Business Incubator how to build a $1 million business. I know I can show you that because I got one. So I just want you to see the potential and the possibility of growing when you come into the right ecosystem. But you don't have to start here, okay? You can start here and just get on a payment plan so that you can start building the muscle. And if at any point you realize I just need to have some sit downs with you so that you can help train me and work with me through this, you can always move up and we just reset your account. So I want you to text the word millionaire to 404-478-7213. And again, for those of you that are prophetic people, you are people of God, you are people of faith, you should be discerning what type of person I am. God should already be dealing with you, telling you, if you don't go ahead and make a move so you can get to where I want you to go, I wish 20 years ago when my wife and I started our ministry and business journey as a two-person team, I wish we had a Prophet Ramon who was as bold and vocal and public as I am. We would have been like, shh, man, this is easy. We just need to connect and just learn and grow, and we gonna get there. But we didn't have that. I'm not saying it didn't exist. We just did not know where it was or who they were. But we had people in our lives that really made an impact in different ways. But for it to be in one ecosystem, it just makes it easy, because I had to gather a whole lot of data from a couple thousand books and resources and people and circles. And so I don't want it to be that difficult for you, especially as people of faith. We need a community that is a faith-based community, biblical-based community, anointed community, but yet a community that understands what's happening in our generation with this wealth transfer. So I love every one of you. Appreciate all of you for watching the show today. I hope I said something that really resonated in your spirit and really touched your heart. But just don't keep putting off for tomorrow what you need to do today, so you could be put in position, so you can be put in play, so that when the opportunity is created, I ain't say when the opportunity shows up, when the opportunity is created, you know how to be the recipient of that transfer. Trust me on this. Many people be coming back to videos like this on YouTube and saying, wow, the guy was saying this in 2018. He was saying it in 2019. He was saying it in 2020. He was saying it in 21. He was saying it in 22. I've been saying this since 2018, ever since God repositioned me and gave me this assignment for economic deliverance. I have been preaching this. You can go back to my YouTube page, you can go back to my Facebook page, and you'll see videos. I really didn't start having this conversation on this level, even though I was an entrepreneur. I didn't start having this kind of conversation until 2018, because once God gave me the revelation and I figured it out, I knew this was my assignment, to the extent that within a year, from 2018 to 2019, God released me from pastoring. I resigned. My wife became the pastor. I became the apostle of my church organization. But from a business perspective, I went head first and said, I've got to give God's people this information. I got to help them get that wealth. And guess what? I'm doing the same over here as I did when I was 100% committed to the gospel community, the church community, just preaching and teaching and prophesying and casting out devils. I still do it, but just in a more unique way. So I love every one of you. Appreciate you. Whatever we can do to help you, just reach out to us. Again, the number is 404-478-7213. Text Millionaire to me if you want to talk about any program that we have, so we can get you into this ecosystem and get you to your place of success. Love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time, right here on the Ramon Preston.